Welcome to the Honest Health Podcast with your host, Jeffrey Burke. Honest Health brings you the brightest minds in the natural products industry, as well as athletes and entertainers. Jeff will keep you entertained and informed while educating on how to be successful on your healthy journeys. Now, here's your host, Jeffrey Burke.
Hello and welcome back to the Honest Health Podcast. My name is Jeffrey Burke. I'm so glad you're here. This is my new platform, bringing you the most up-to-date, groundbreaking information from some of the best minds within the natural products industry, as well as some of the most incredible voices outside the industry as well. All of them with great messages and stories to share and tell. If you like what I'm doing, please consider giving me a like, a share, or subscribe, or, better yet, do all that, do all three of them if you want to. Today, I got to tell you, you're going to love this. I'm so excited. My very, very dear friend, Michelle Rohl, is here today. And we're going to be talking about being on stage, being in the entertainment industry for such a long, long time, and have her share some of her secrets. And I think you're going to love this. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You look awesome.
Thank you. I feel good.
Well, that's
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
the funny thing is, I got to tell you, looking good is great. Feeling good is better.
Yeah, definitely. That is the truth. I'm very content. For the first time, I think, in my life, I am content.
Wow.
And I can honestly say that. That word comes to me a lot when I'm just kind of hanging out with myself, which is who I'm dating right now is me, my favorite person in the world right now.
That's a good thing, because I'll tell you what, a lot of people can't be by themselves.
Yeah.
I enjoy my me time. I really do. Whether I'm just fooling myself or whatever, I seem to enjoy it pretty well. So
hopefully people will take that as like a healthy ego kind of a statement, because I'm not, all about me and wrapped up in myself. But I just yes, for the first time in my life, I'm happy with so many things.
I'm so happy for you. Let me ask you a question. This was one of my questions before, is how have you stayed grounded for such a long time? Because that's something people want to know.
I don't know. Honestly, I want to say the first thing that comes to mind is that it just kind of comes naturally to me. I am a very earthy kind of a person, and I've never really taken myself. Anybody who's seen me perform, I make fun of myself, and it can be self-deprecating. It's kind of fun, in the moment. And I don't know, just to be real, be kind, down to earth, and don't take everything so seriously. And I kind of keep an eye. One of my new mantras right now is everything is happening for me. So I don't get all wrapped up in all the darkness and stuff that's going on in the world, and even in my little world. I try, even when something crazy happens, I try to tune into everything's happening for me. Everything's happening for me. Everything's happening for me. I mean it.
Well, I'll tell you something. One of the things is you are the kindest person, and I've known you for a long time. And of course, a very dear friend of mine you grew up with, who passed away a couple years ago, saw your talent, I think, before you saw your talent, and was your biggest fan and your biggest supporter. And he has since passed on. But, so this is not anything new. You have been an entertainer and on stage for a long time. I don't think people really know the intricacies that goes into being an entertainer. It's, we see the end result. We see the show, or we hear the record, or we see the movie, or whatever we do, but we don't see how much work goes into it. And not only have you been a headliner in Las Vegas and been on some of the biggest stages on the Las Vegas Strip, but consistently you have been in the spotlight for a long time. And does it ever get to be something you don't like to do, or do you still love it?
I still love it. It's that's when I feel like I'm in my power the most. But I do have to admit, I sometimes go into it. I think I'm getting too old. Am I too old? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to retire a little bit? But I am kind of, in a way, semi-retired from singing. I still sing a lot, and have my own show, a couple of them now. And but I do real estate full time also. So because that is been so great to me, I love doing real estate, and I am good at it, and I enjoy it, and I love helping people. But it takes away my time from my music that I do miss. So I do fantasize about making enough money to retire from everything so I can just write songs and record all day. That would be my dream life, just to be creating songs and writing, and that's it. I would have to be on stage once in a while, though.
I was gonna say you can't get. There's no way you could
I
get out of
love
it
it.
completely. You
It's
know,
the comfort zone.
I've seen you perform so many times, and every time is like the first time, and it's so amazing to see someone who. It's like everything in life. If you are someone who has a passion about what you do, and you have strong feelings, and you're able to bring those feelings into what it is that you're doing, no matter what it is, people are attracted to that. And I think people have been so attracted to you and your work because you just make them feel good, and your passion is amazing.
Well, thank you. I mean, that is the goal. It's all about the exchange of energy that happens when you're on stage. And if you're doing a good job, I just heard something, a notification. You didn't hear that, did you?
I didn't.
Oh, good. Anyway, or what was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We're talking about, being able to be an educator and being out there and doing what you're doing
Oh,
and making people happy and enjoying what you
yeah,
do.
that's the goal. And like, if I
Mhm.
could do that, like because I love going to see great performers. It stops my world and takes me out of all the BS that's going on. It's just anything that we can do to bring us joy and like just stop everything and just enjoy. Music is the best way to do that.
The Las Vegas Strip has changed dramatically, over the years. I've been out here almost 45 years now,
Wow.
and a long time. And
Mhm.
but let me ask you a question. When the showrooms used to be different, many of them were dinner shows years ago. There was always smoking in the rooms. That's a little bit of a
Yes.
different change.
I don't
You know,
miss that.
the entertainers up there coughing as they're doing their thing.
Right?
But I mean, the shows have changed. People used to dress up to go to shows on the strip. Now
Yes.
everything's casual. It's kind of like flying on a plane. Remember, we used to have to wear a tie to get on a plane, and now we wear
Right.
sweats and a t-shirt. And and I'm guilty because I travel so much, and I'm as comfortable as possible. But what are some of the changes you've seen in the performance rooms on the Las Vegas Strip over the last couple decades? What's changed?
Well, they're pretty much gone. I mean, there really isn't a lot of strip. I mean, remember back in the day, every single hotel had the best band. I mean, there was like a handful of like the most amazing musicians, and they all had a steady gig. And no matter where you went, there was always live music. And now it's a lot of DJs are getting gigs. That's kind of coming. Even a lot of hotels don't have that, but that I'm seeing coming in, hiring DJs instead of musicians. So there is an entertainer there. I like that, but there you can't beat a live band. I mean, it's just a whole vibe, and everybody would come in and party and gamble, but those days are gone. I remember, I mean, when I started doing the Playboy show in 1986, it was $9.95 per person, and you got 2 drinks. There was a full live band, 8-piece, 10-piece band. I think we had 3 horns and a rhythm section, percussionist. I mean, it was a big show with magician and comedian and dancers and singers. And I mean, I know there's still, those shows are out there. The live bands, though, aren't really musicians. And one thing that has not changed, which is heartbreaking, is people make about the same now as they did back then, or maybe even less, to like play in a lounge. And usually it's not like a full night. Like we used to do 6 sets, a night. Now guys will come out and do 2 sets, maybe even one show, at a club, at a nightclub, and they're really not getting paid that much. It's like, $100 a piece. That's
Wow.
insane. I mean,
Yeah.
and people don't think about that, how musicians have, I mean, some gigs are 2 a piece, even at some of the nice showrooms in town, they just don't have the big budgets like they used to. And you got to pay 5, 6 people, and $1,000 does not go very far. $1,000 a night for an act.
Well, it's funny is I interviewed a couple of your friends on the podcast. I had Christine W on.
Love
I
her.
had Mark O'Toole on,
Oh my
and
God.
so those were really fun. But they talked about how the city has changed dramatically over the years, and they're definitely long timers in the industry as well. And
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
I,
I've been here 55 years. I moved here when I was 10, and it was just so different. And I went to shows back, like when I was 12, I think we started going to shows with our parents and stuff, and saw some amazing people back then. I got to see the Carpenters. That was cool. But yeah, it's always evolving though, because I can see from like that time to like when the rock concerts started happening, in the 70s, and then on, I remember the Space Center at the Sahara was like the big rock concert venue,
My
but
goodness.
it was really just a ballroom, I think. And I'm like, when I picture it, it wasn't even a theater; it was a ballroom. But there are some great theaters. I think the Smith Center is like one of my favorite places to play. That sound in there is so amazing, and like acoustically, it's built architecturally for sound, for entertainment. So when you see shows there, you always get like real quality atmosphere and sound, and
Well,
acts are real
we've
good
seen you
there.
there with Lon Bronson, so we've seen on
Yes,
that is a section
I know.
that is a musician's like paradise. They are awesome,
I know.
and I've seen smaller venues. I've seen you when you were on stage with it was Legends, wasn't it?
Yeah,
At the
I did Legends for
Imperial
years.
Palace,
Yeah, that
and
was a pretty good size showroom.
that was
But
big.
yeah, I did a Legends there and at the Flamingo in 2017. I started doing Janis for them at that time, and I was at the Flamingo. That was fun too. We were opposite Donnie and Marie. That
Okay.
was a grind because we did a 4 o'clock show, and then we had like a 3 hour, 4 hour break while they did their show, and then we had to come back like at 7 or 8 or something.
Do another one.
It was so hard to get up for the second show, after having a huge 4 hour break, because usually you do your shows back to back. We always did two shows a night, 6 nights a week back in the day.
Well, I think what's so amazing is that as yourself as an entertainer, you're brilliant. But as an entertainer doing someone else, Bonnie Raitt, I remember,
Yes,
and Janice and
Gloria.
Gloria. My
I
gosh, I
did
forgot
Gloria,
about that.
Glorita. I did Gloria, and I did Shania Twain too. When I first started doing Shania, I did Gloria first for a long time. The guy that produced Playboy show, Donnie Moore, he was producing American Superstars. And he bugged me for 2 years to do Gloria, and I was like, I just didn't want to be an impersonator. I was a rock and roller. I wasn't really a Gloria fan. And now I have so much respect for her. I'm like one of her biggest fans. She's so amazing, such an amazing songwriter in her voice. And I loved doing it. I love the whole acting part. In the beginning, I did more of an impersonation, and now I do tributes. So I don't have to look or sound like the person as much. Not when I first started, it was all about the look, but that kind of became
Oh yeah.
illegal because you can't, take somebody's identity, their songs, their act, basically, and recreate it. You have to kind of put your own thing together. So now it's more called tributes because that's legal.
I got it.
Impersonating somebody, there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of laws around that. Like, remember Frank Marino?
Yep.
It started with him and Joan Rivers, and Joan didn't like that he was impersonating her voice, her sound, some of her jokes, not all, but jokes, some of those jokes are like standard jokes that everybody, Benny Goodman did his version of them back in the day. But you can get in trouble for that now.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's step outside the entertainment and go behind the curtain a little bit. And
Okay.
what do you do to keep yourself healthy? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it diet? Is a little bit of everything? Getting rest?
I can tell you, like right now, I'm not doing my favorite things because I'm so busy. And when I get super busy, my workout ethic goes to the wayside. I'm still very, very active and running around like a maniac. Doing real estate is very busy. Mentally, it takes a lot of energy as well. But my favorite thing in the world that I ever did was running. When I was 50, I started late. I was never into running. I didn't enjoy it. I was more of a weightlifter. I loved weightlifting. I still do. I love doing weights. That's my favorite thing. I don't know what it is. It's just my jam. I feels good and I can do it, and I like that. But the running messed up my hips at that late stage of my life. I was running it by my house in Summerlin in the hills. I had the trails, and they're all concrete. While I did run on the grass a lot, I was on concrete a lot, and then I ended up having to replace both my hips. And so now it's weight lifting. I just do my own weights in my home. I walk my little dog Free, which I got from you. He's adorable. I still adorable, but 17, so I don't walk him
Oh
as
my
much.
Lord,
Yeah,
Lord.
he still has tons of energy. That's amazing. He doesn't know. He kind of doesn't know where he is either, though, and he's a little bit blind, so I have to be real careful when I take him out. But I think, and also I like doing intermittent fasting. And I just decided recently because I did when I got my hips done, I put on some weight in the recovery time and before, because I went 2 years with hip pain. I had bone on one hip and I didn't even know it. I thought it was my hip flexor from running. And so I kept trying to work through it. I did everything Reiki, you know, I went to chiropractors and nothing was helping. And finally one day I was like, should I get an x-ray? And my doctor was like, yeah, it can't hurt. So one side was bone on bone. The other side just barely had any padding left. I couldn't run at that time or walk anymore. So I ended up just to getting the hips done, but I gained a lot of weight during that time from discovering, trying to get diagnosed. And just recently, I started doing semaglutide 4 months ago,
Okay.
and I freaking love it. It's been
Really?
amazing for me. It took other aches and pains away that I had as a result of my weight. And I have another friend who's a singer, Patty Powers. You should interview her too. She's amazing. She started doing it, and her arthritis problems went away, as well as another issue that she had um, with inflammation, just gone. And so now I'm kind of at the end of my stint with it. I lost 22 pounds in 4 months, so I did it slow. And it's helped me do intermittent fasting, which seems to be the best for me. It agrees with me. And yeah, I've always loved fasting.
Well, I think you also have the right mentality. And the mentality is, I may use this as a stepping stone to get me where I need to be, but I need to realize that life does go on, which means I have to find a way to eat correctly. I have to have a good
Hmm.
mindset. I have to keep my activity levels up, have to manage my
Yes.
stress. And those are all things, but that's a really solid, very healthy way of looking at things. So kudos.
Well, you know what's crazy? I have an awareness from the time I was a little kid, like from the time I was 6 or 7. I know that I had a huge appetite. Like I love to eat. And I just knew, even back then, as a little kid, I would be like, in my mind, I could hear myself saying, I'm eating too much. Why am I so hungry all the time? I just love to eat. Luckily, like when I was younger, I was very active, so I never had a problem with my weight. But then, as when I started having trouble with my hips, and it started happening when the age kind of crept up on me as well.
The interesting thing you just said, which is a great reminder, is, people that are active in their life every day. And I work with a lot of waitresses over the years and bag handlers and people that are just very busy. They're always moving. And then something happens or they retire or they step away or they get injured. And that daily activity that actually has been in the background monitoring and keeping their weight adjusted, suddenly it's not there. And they put on weight so fast because they would say, I'm not exercising, but I'm active. And you take away that activity and you're not exercising, it can happen fast.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm really glad that I got into real estate because I feel like it's something I could do forever
Hmm.
because I've met some 80-year-old agents, they're still doing it. They maybe are not like hustling like I am, but I feel like it's so good for your mind and just to keep you up and out the door and out to meetings and running around and problem solving. I think that I could also have a tendency to like just completely slow down. So feel like I will never retire from singing. As long as I could sing, I'll sing. And I'll probably do real estate forever too.
Well, we're the same age, and we've been around a while, and both of us are do keep. I mean, I run circles around a lot of people. I mean, I travel so much. I am always on the road and busy, but this is who I am. I mean, your happy place on stage, my happy place behind a microphone or in front of an audience. I've always been like this, where these are things that for some people, they're just like, I would never do something
Right.
like that.
And I think that kind of ties into when you're doing your passion, because yeah, you kind of, it gives you energy, you know. And the music for sure does that. I have to admit, like at the end of a day of real estate, I'm exhausted, and the brain needs to rest, and it's so much. There's so much going on. It's very active mentally and physically, but the singing thing kind of comes naturally to me. So that at the end of a show, I'm like wired and amped up, you know, and I don't want to stop. I don't want to get off stage.
You know, there was a time when we used to go to places like the Bootlegger, and we'd go to like we were younger, we'd go to like the Silver Slipper, and Cookie Jar would be
Yes.
playing there, and
Kenny Kerr.
you'd be in the audience, and they'd call you up, and you would just jam with the bands that were playing
Yes.
there, the house bands, and that was such a fun time, and it just
Yeah.
a lot of people don't get to experience that now.
I know. Yeah.
Ugh.
I remember I used to, God, it was called the Brothers Review, and it was Donnie Moore, the guy who produced Playboy,
Mhm.
and his partner Tommy. I can't remember his last name. They had a killer band, and it was my first band was Sailon with Rick Sailon, and Rick was in their band. And I would go watch them, and they'd call me up to sing on "Just Take Those Old Records Off the Shelf," and they'd call somebody from the audience, and they'd always pick me if I was there. It was
I
so
love
fun.
it.
I was like 17, 18 when I was doing that, you know. When I was 16, I used to go dancing. Do you remember Duffy's?
Oh yeah.
I went to Duffy's when I was 16 and danced with all these 30-year-old men. What was I thinking?
You were
Don't
thinking
tell
that
my daughter.
you were thinking that you loved life and you wanted to be out and be your people
Yes.
person. That, you know, you're either a people person or you're not. You
Yeah.
know, and some of us thrive on being out there around people. And I have friends that are like, they love the pandemic, not for the pandemic, but they were locked up at the house. I was going nuts. I mean, I
Yeah.
was going crazy. I mean, I was having full conversations with the dogs and the horses, and they were talking back. I needed to be around people, but some people love that. I don't.
One thing I loved about the pandemic was grocery delivery, and I never stopped it. I hate going to the grocery store. I never hated it before COVID. And so after we were allowed to go back, I didn't enjoy it anymore. I just don't, the lighting and the sounds and I don't know. I just don't want to be in there. Is that funny?
I think we all took a little something. I think honestly to the idea of the pandemic, I think a lot of people reflected on how good or bad they had been to themselves prior to the pandemic. And I think a lot of people became a little bit more aware of giving their body and their health and their mind and their mental health a little bit more support.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know that I was shocked. I did get COVID and I was shocked how sick I got. And I got really depressed too. I got the depression. And I literally couldn't get out of bed until I literally had to because I was about to pee myself. So I had to like force myself to get out. And that was really different for me too, because I am very, very active.
It was a
And
hard time. It was a very hard time. And, you know, and I got to the point when I started traveling about 6 months into it, and I'd been at home, and, you know, I think I did like 1,100 Zoom trainings in like 6 months, and I was zoomed out at that point.
yeah,
I needed some people in front of me, and, you know, traveling around wearing masks, you know, washing your hands, and
I know, washing
it
your
was,
food,
oh my
the
Lord.
vegetable. I mean, I washed vegetables always, but we were washing everything, every box that the
Might,
food came in, and
might be the
the
containers.
outside of the oranges and grapefruits and all that.
You know what? It did make me it made me kind of paranoid. And it got to the point when I just finally told myself, I said, look, you just need to snap out of this and just move on with your life here. You know, it is what it is. You know, protect yourself against stupidity. You know, don't do stupid things, but also
Yeah,
don't stop living. And I think a lot of people kind of gave into the stopping living part of it. And a lot of people are still working their way back out,
yeah.
you know, so.
I mean, it's real too. The depression that came along with that was surprising. I mean, I've had dealt with that all throughout my life for different reasons, different times, but that was a whole different thing. I was not fun,
So
but luckily, my mom, she's going to be 90 like your mom.
Hmm.
And I think that because she's my mom, she's just like one of those super positive people. And I have a lot of her. I mean, and her mom too, my Grandma Edna, very positive, like talk to everybody, kind, and helpful, volunteer a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, my mom. I actually just got back from Michigan, and I was back there training and doing what I'm doing. When I was able to spend some time with my mom, and because her birthday's coming up this summer, and she'll just like your mom's, and they'll both be 90. So,
It's so
God,
crazy.
God,
They're a day
God,
apart or
God
2
will
days, 2
2
days.
days, but God
Yeah.
willing, we got their genes.
Right? My mom doesn't take any medication. She says that because she grew up on a farm, that her start was organic and they literally went out into the field and got their food. But I know like in the 70s she ate TV dinners and stuff like that. But maybe it's the foundation, the early years, and but yeah, she says that that's part of it, and she does eat very healthy now. She doesn't eat a lot of sugar and no pills other than vitamins. She's a vitamin person.
How do you sleep? How do you sleep at night? Do you sleep well?
You know what? I don't. My brain is alive and go. This is Sophie, by the way. Here's her tail, just
Okay,
cruising around through here.
that's all good.
Um, I wake up almost every night at 3:30, not to go to the bathroom necessarily, which I do, but I just like stuff is going on. But I think it's okay. I do go back to sleep. So uh, I actually get up and write sometimes. I'll just take that time just because like the whole world is quiet and
Peaceful.
I'm kind of open it and I'm like, sometimes I'll wake up with a song idea and I'll write it down or I'll sing it, into a recorder. And then I listen to it when I wake up the next day. I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? You can't really even hear us like, it's like, what?
But at the time, it sounded like you were on stage, didn't it? Yeah, of course.
Sometimes I dream like these whole orchestrated things, and songs that are just like very involved with strings and cellos and brass. It's crazy.
Well, that's the
I have
creative.
no
That's the
way.
creative mind. That's you.
Yeah.
That's who you are, and I mean, that's a good thing. Food. You did mention food. What kind of foods do you like? I mean, what are your favorite foods? Do you follow a diet, or do you eat what you like?
I kind of eat what I like, but because I'm so busy, I do intermittent fasting. So I'm work a lot and I love RX bars. I always have those with me during the day. So if I'm in my fast and I have to break it, I have something healthy. The RX bars only have 4 ingredients and they're based in egg whites and nuts and sometimes fruit like blueberries. And so I like those kind they totally like boom, they'll hold you over. I'm a salad person. I do still love salads, stay away from the croutons and stuff like that. But and my favorite salad dressing like is so low in calories. Oh, what's it called? It's a vinaigrette. It's called sweet vinaigrette dressing. Honestly, I think that's what all it's called. And there's hardly anything in it. There's some spices and sweet vinegar and a little bit of olive oil. So if I'm working here, and I love that dressing. It's light, because I could get into ranch and all that stuff. I love stuff like that, so I do have to be careful. But the cool thing about the semi-glutide, because what it does, from what I understand, it slows down my digestion,
It does.
and so I eat less. I get full faster. I'm eating less, but the craziest thing, I'm not craving sugar because I'm not that I was a crazy sugar person, but like I would kind of my go-to was Ben and Jerry's, and not that I would eat like a ton of it, but that was kind of like I don't drink anymore, so that was kind of like my little thing. Some people have a glass of wine, I have a little Ben and Jerry's, but I completely stopped doing that with the semi-glutide. If it's not in the house, I don't crave it. Even at the store, when I'm shopping online, I don't I don't look at that stuff. I don't buy stuff like that. I don't crave it. And when I go out, I'm not interested. I do like to drink once in a while. Like I like to have a drink with a show when I go out to see musicians. And I just don't even drink the drink anymore. It's weird. I order it and I'll drink like this much. And I'm just sit there, look at it like, I don't even want any of that. It's a really interesting thing that's happened for me. I think some people are just so well suited for that type of medicinal healing. And it's really shown me just a whole new way to think about food. And really, can you hear her?
Of course.
She wants me to open the window for her.
Okay.
It was crazy. Anyway, yeah, I think that it's been really good for me. And I've heard of some people are microdosing on it. I don't know a whole lot about that, but maybe I'll do that when I get off of it, just to keep in that vein of, that consistency. But I've heard like some of the side effects are really incredible. Like for people that are microdosing that don't necessarily, like they're already in shape, they work out a lot, they just have that little bit of fat left that they can't get rid of, and they do the microdosing. Should I let her out?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, you keep talking.
I'll keep talking.
Tell me what you think about microdosing.
Well, I just, what we're learning about the microdosing is that a lot of people are doing it when their doctors are helping them. And I think that that's probably a really good idea. But I think for the most part, I just think that we still have a lot to learn about the semi-glutides. But, I'm working and talking with a lot of doctors, and they're giving some people that I know that are in my industry that are that I respect have had good things to say about it. But it's like everything. You can't just use something as a quick fix.
Right.
It's kind of like for somebody that goes in for gastric weight loss surgery. All the power. If that's what works for you and that's where you are and you need that and you've done the mental stuff, you've wrapped your mind around it, you know that from that point forward, you cannot be who you were before.
Right.
And if you're
that would
ready
be so hard.
yeah. And I mean, then that's fantastic. But I've seen people get it, lose the weight, and then they just go back to their old way of eating. They gain it all back. They weren't ready. Because there was a time when you went for gastric weight loss that used to have therapy for like a year with your psychotherapist or whatever. They wanted to make sure you were ready. Today, you wake up one day and you're like, I think I'll go get gastric weight loss, and you can.
So you're on your own.
I think
so hard.
I think these things are wonderful blessings as long as people go into them with the idea that it's a tool. And they still have to have a relationship with food, a relationship with activity, a relationship with sleep, and work on their mental health as well. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not going to get the benefit like you're getting.
Yeah, I think another reason why I gained weight, which I know not all people do this, but I was vegetarian for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I just needed more protein, animal protein, which I don't enjoy because I just am an animal freak. And I do think about, the way animals are treated in food processing. And so I do still eat chicken and salmon, stuff like that occasionally, but I'm a flexitarian.
Got it.
I pretty much will eat anything, but I still prefer vegetarian foods. And I actually shop now. My favorite shopping place is the Misfit Market. Have you heard of that?
I have.
I love it. It's so amazing. And I just got a delivery today, but it's like stuff that you would find at Whole Foods or Sprouts. It's very healthy based already. Even their processed foods are made with more care, goes into what they're putting in it. And it helps cut down the carbon footprint of food production, because there's like 30% of all the food that's created in the world goes to waste. It gets thrown away. So they take foods that, like, I got these yams once that were so big because they get too big, they can't sell them in the store. They're either too big or too small, and so they have a lot of foods that are missized for that grocery store perfection that people want to see in there. And so, but I love it. And it kind of keeps me in that healthy vein. I like shopping at places like Whole Foods and Sprouts, so that kind of helps me with that too.
It reminds me of watching Rudolph when I was a kid, the land of misfit toys.
Yes.
They even say that, like, green peppers, if they're shaped kind of oddly, they get thrown away. It's so ridiculous.
It's
how
crazy.
we waste food. So,
I love that business model, and I'm loving it. I've been doing that for like 6 months now, and I think I'm gonna stick with it. And you can change it, like if you want to take a break from it. So I might do that. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and we get to reconnect again. I send you a big hug, and I hope you'll come back and see me again. And I will hopefully, if all goes well and I'm in town, I'll be at your next show.
Yes,
And
I got a bunch of stuff coming up, so I know you're going to post about it, so people will know.
absolutely. So I want to let everybody know my name is Jeffrey Burke. This is the Honest Health Podcast. Remember to go to my webpage, drjeffreyburke.com. When you're there, you can tap on the Honest Health logo. It'll take you to Spotify for the audio version, or you can tap on the YouTube channel and you can go there and watch our interviews and see our gorgeous faces. And then you could make sure you subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff. It's different than my 42 years of radio shows where we never did that stuff. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Michelle Rohl, my guest today. I hope that you will definitely Google her and follow her social media and look her up if you're in need of real estate as well, or you're looking for when she's entertaining, and go enjoy her wonderful voice. She's an amazing, true professional, a very kind and wonderful person. I'm very glad to call her my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Jeff. Love you. So good to see you.
You too. And you be well and stay healthy.
You too.
Stay tuned for more information from the Honest Health Podcast with Jeffrey Burke. And make sure to check back often for interviews and conversations from the guests we all want to hear from. I'm John the Announcer. Thanks for listening.